Welcome back. Do remember that you can find all our top stories on channelstv.com and on youtube.com/channelsweb. You can also log on to m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device, or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows devices from their respective stores. The Channels TV and the Channels 24 apps will give you access to news and updates. You'll also have access to the Eyewitness feature, with which you can be part of the news. All you need to do is just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu. Follow the instructions you see to share pictures, videos, or news of happenings around you. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says that it has recorded and responded to various incidents of natural disasters across the country which have affected communities in 2017. The agency says that floods have affected 27 states of the Federation, while wind and rainstorms have affected 10 states in Nigeria. Our next report takes a look at the impact of floods in some states.
Flood. An unwanted guest threatening many homes across Nigeria. When it rains, fear grips many residents of flood-prone areas. Recently, residents of some communities in Makurdi, the Benue state capital, felt the harrowing experience of nature's wrath to man. More than 100,000 of them displaced. In July, torrential rains rolled back the layer of wealth and civilization in Nigeria's economic capital, Lagos. Lagos Island and Lekki were flooded as residents lost their valuables and incurred unprecedented expenses and their safety compromised. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, in its 2017 forecast, had predicted that floods are likely to occur in Sokoto, Zamfara, Niger, Kwara, Oyo, Ogun, and Adamawa states. A similar forecast was made in 2012, with little or no attention paid to it. The end result was massive flooding in 30 out of the 36 states of the Federation. Now there are concerns about the opening of dams within and outside the country, especially the NEMA dam in Niger. What this means is that Nigeria, and indeed Nigerians, may have to start preparing again for another unwanted guest, especially now that government is even more concerned about it than ever.
Now, a lot of people say that the rains come with blessings, but of course it's the opposite for those victims who have been affected by flooding in Nigeria this year, starting from Lagos to Niger to Oyo, Benue, Ogun, and even Kogi and Imo states. Well, the rain has left trails of destruction, lives and properties have been lost. But who should we hold responsible for this? Some are saying, is it nature or is it the government? Joining us to discuss the program on this issue is Dr. Mayowa Fasono. He's a senior lecturer from a Geography Department, University of Lagos. Thank you very much for joining us on News Across Nigeria. Geography was a favorite subject of mine then.
Oh, that's great.
All right, but let me begin by asking you, who is responsible for these floods? Who do we need to hold accountable for these disasters?
We are all responsible. Nature, we. That is, the people. There will always be flood, whether we like it or not. Because when you have, very high storm, the possibility of flood, is high. But the severity of the flood now depends on how we manage it. As far as Nigerian case is concerned, it's really pathetic that we have all this issue. Because if we look back, flooding is not new to us. We've been experiencing flood. At least if you can't remember anyone, you remember the 2012 flood. Now, the key issue is that what have we learned? Have we learned any lessons from what had happened in the past? If we have learned any lessons, what have we done with that? From my basic assessment, it's like either we've not learned anything or we did not put into operation what we learned in the last episodes. Well, a whole lot of people talk about climate change. Even before climate change, flooding has always been there. Climate change is just an additional layer superimposed on that. It works this way. Whether we like it or not, we always blame for. If we look at Nigerian climate, for example, it's very easy because we know that in the south, from about May to October, we have rainfall. In the north, from about July to October or September, we have rainfall. So the key issue is that why are we not preparing? Now talking about preparedness, like we said, the whole of Nigeria has to brace up. In disaster management, including flood disaster management, there are three key phases. There is the pre-disaster, there is the during disaster, and there is the post-disaster. In the pre-disaster, you have to look at the risk, which in this case is flood. You have to look at who's going to be affected. You have to look at their levels of vulnerability. You have to be able to construct zoning, flood zoning and what have you, in order to be able to know what to do. You have to be able to put in place emergency management services. And you have to be able to disseminate information well ahead for people to be aware.
Okay, we're saying people should be aware. The National Emergency Management Agency said that 27 states were affected by flood. About 10 states were destroyed by winds and rainstorms. Yeah. While we can control floods, how can we control winds and rainstorms?
Both floods and wind, we cannot totally control them. The key issue as far as wind is concerned, for example, wind moves might be quickly than storm. But the key issue is what I'm trying to say, which is preparedness. Now, talking about preparedness, information is key. Information generation, we need science-based data to be able to say who lives in the floodplain. We need data to be able to say there's going to be a rain in the next 2 days, for example. This road is going to cover X, Y, Z in terms of space. Where people living here at ABC places will be affected. And then it doesn't stop there. We have to now go down. And that's why the key issue about flood management is it has to be very comprehensive. It's not just for NEMA. NEMA has to team up with other agencies, including the Space Agency, including the Meteorological Agency, including the Water Resource Management Agency, so including the planning agencies and organizations. So it's not something for just one institution.
Okay, so one major thing that this floods cause is gully erosion. What can be done to manage this? Because it's really horrible when you see, especially in states in the eastern part of Nigeria.
In the case of this is another very peculiar challenge because apart from rainfall, there are some other factors that contribute to gully erosion in the east. One of them is the high population pressure. Another one is the soil, the type of soil, including the geology, even including the hydrology. All of them, contribute. But the key issue to be able, some of these factors, you cannot totally prevent them, you cannot totally avoid them, but what you do is to be able to, inform people. If they need to leave, they have to leave at least. But that's part of the problems we have. But we seem to be concentrating more, talking of Nigeria now, we tend to be concentrating more on emergency services, on providing reliefs and what have you. We are not doing the major thing, which are the pre-disaster stages, which you have to take more serious. I think that needs to be taken serious.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. Senior Lecturer from Geography Department, University of Lagos, Dr. Mayowa Fashinal. Thank you very much for your time on News Across Nigeria.
Thank you.
When News Across Nigeria returns, we will be talking politics in Anambra State and what Governor Willie Obiano is doing to make sure he gets in again. Please stay with us.